Welcome to July, everyone. A lot has happened since the beginning of July, and I want to update you on what we all know and then what the markets are telling us right now. So, what has happened since the beginning of July? Well, we had a big, beautiful bill that was signed on July 4th, right, on the South Lawn of the White House. And so that was one big push and one big win for President Trump. And if you go back and you look, it needed a tie-breaking vote in the Senate to move to the House. A couple of little changes that happened in the House before it squeaked through the House and made it to the president's desk. And then he, of course, in his regular fashion, made it a big deal to sign on July 4th. So what happened since then? July 6th, Elon Musk files to create the America First Party because Elon Musk believes that we need to really cut the waste and cut the fat out of D.C. more than President Trump and more than the Republican Party did, because the Republican Party is now kind of shifting a little bit to, no, we can't cut all these things. We need to grow our way out of this debt. So there's two different thoughts there. And then there's the Democratic thought, and I'm not sure what that is, and I don't think anybody does. I think that the Democrats now are looking at themselves saying, you know what, let's back up. This is what they should be doing. Let's back up. Let's not be the news. Let's let these two entities fight each other, and let's see if we can't slide back in and take some positions with next year. So if that's what their plan is, doing nothing might be actually the right thing to do, but we will see. And most importantly, what I think is happening with the markets, as you see behind me, there's a lot of red on my screen, on the big screen behind me. Well, I think that has to do with the fact that the 90-day tariff reprieve, it's coming to an end in July, which means come August, we may see tariffs back, incoming tariffs coming in. Obviously, the stock market is always ahead of anything that happens. And right now, the stock market's ahead saying, looks like these tariffs are coming back. All right. So what does that do for the stock market? More importantly, what does it do for July? And so I want to talk about where the overall markets look and what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. So here's what we talked about 2 weeks ago. We had the S&P just above, I think we were around the 610 area, and we were looking at that V-shaped correction taking us to new all-time highs. Well, congratulations, it happened. Our 625 initial minimum target was hit. And guess when it was hit, folks? It was hit on Thursday, excuse me. It was hit on Thursday. Our next target that we're looking for to happen by the end of this month is around 640, possibly 650 on the S&P. But we're taking a little pause here right now. You can see the market's pulling back behind me. I think the Dow was down in the 300s when we just started here today, our live stream. So as I look at this, a couple things I look at is the fact that volatility is on the low side. It's kicking up today because of the 3-in-1 hit to the news, the sell the. We've got that buy the big beautiful bill, sell the signing into law. That's on the table. Tariffs are now back on the table, and Elon Musk has made good on his promise that he is going to at least create. We'll see where it ends up going, but create a third party. So that's why you're seeing a little kick up in the volatility of the S&P, as the S&P has dropped coming into today. So gold, where has gold gone? Well, gold's dropping again because gold is a risk-on asset, and it is also dropping because of the uncertainty that came out of the weekend. This is an interesting chart, and I want to show you the differences. What gold really came up, and it hit its all-time high back in April, okay? It hit it again in May, and then it hit it again in June. So we hit a triple top. Now, that's typically a bullish sign if we hit the top 3 times and we come back again. Here's the thing. We have not come back yet as GLD has moved down. It's in the 305 area. So it's off a few percentage points from its all-time high. what has happened since then. We've got separation between the 50 and 200-day moving average. That's great. Those two lines have been separated for quite some time. But then more importantly, if you take a look and see the trend is still up, we don't have any real seasonality. There's no bullish seasonality in gold. There's no bearish seasonality in gold. But guess what? Gold's seasonality turns sour when we get into August. So we still have some time here for GLD to come back up and possibly take out those all-time highs we're seeing. But the difference is that when it hit its all-time highs, volatility was at an all-time high too. Since then, we've moved sideways. What has happened since then? We're still close to the all-time highs, but volatility has dropped considerably, right? This has not changed yet. Whether that causes a change in the price of GLD, we will see. Oil, in the last 2 weeks, since I talked about oil before, we were back up to the highs. Since then, we've dropped back down. So we've gone from year-to-date lows down here at 62 to year-to-date highs up in around the 84 level. Back down, we've reverted back to the mean. Since then, we started a move slowly to the upside. Oil is starting to move higher. However, I see the seasonality coming off of oil sometime by the end of next week. Right? By the end of next week, that 5-month seasonal pattern, bullish pattern in oil, gone. It's done until next year. And then finally, I wanted to share with you the MAG7 ETF. This is the symbol MAGS. So what's interesting about MAGS is that MAGS has also had the V-shaped recovery. Right? MAGS had a high of around 56.50. That was back in January. End of January, we hit that high, that all-time high. All-time high. We've pulled back to a year-to-date low of 39, and that happened, guess when? April 8th, which was the low for everything else. But here's the thing about MAGS. Trend is up. Short-term trend is up. Okay. Short and medium-term trends are higher. The 50-day moving average has recently crossed above the 200-day moving average. That's a golden cross. That's bullish as well. Trend is up. Target $60. Here's the thing. It's lagging the S&P. It's lagging the Dow. So MAGS could be the caboose if the Dow and the S&P continue higher. Will MAGS caboose its way, or will it become the engine? Not sure. But this is an interesting one to take a look at if you do believe that the markets for July are likely to be higher. And I couldn't leave you without Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin has once again, 123, has hit that 110,000 area. And this is the Bitcoin ETF IBIT. So the IBIT ETF has been in the 63 range. All right. And you know, you got to go all the way back to the beginning of the year before it hit this area. This is a new all-time high, or recent all-time high. Hit it in May, hit it in June, hit it in July. So we're triple topping here. I think anything above this, a close above 63.23, puts this bullish and gets us up into the high 60s. But again, this all depends on Bitcoin, which I believe all depends on the seasonality of the stock market. Okay, Tesla is the real concern for MAGS, and I think it's a little bit of a concern for the stock market as well. Year-to-date highs on Tesla are way back in the beginning of the year at $426. It hit that year-to-date low of just below 221, and it really kind of double. You could call this a double. You could call this a quad bounce, 1, 2, 3, 4, before jumping up and getting back to its mean reversion. But today, down 7.5% or so, puts us back in the bearish camp for Tesla. Will it come down and meet those low 200s again? Time will tell. Here's why I say it's uncertain. The trend is sideways, as you can see on the screen. The seasonal, we have no seasonals on Tesla. Not for July, not for August. The moving average crossover is bullish, but it just happened, which means it could cross back to bearish at any time. Fibonacci levels bearish. Volatility is low, which concerns me that we could stay bearish for some time for Tesla. So when you wrap everything up, it looks like this, folks. The weekend, we went from signing the BBB, very bullish, to a political shakeup, to the tariffs. And I believe, based on what the market actions happened for the first half of the day today, I think it's more geared toward tariffs than anything else. And of course, the big concern is what is going on with Elon Musk. Can he continue to run Tesla and SpaceX and Boring Company and everything else he has going on while trying to form a new party? We know that him getting political didn't work for Tesla when he was on the side of Donald Trump and the Republicans. And just honestly, he's gone from pissing off the Democrats, now he's pissing off everybody, the Republicans, the Democrats, and his stockholders at Tesla, because they don't want any part of this. They didn't sign on to for him to be now founding a new party. So will he remain as the CEO of Tesla, or is this some big design that might just fade away? Time will tell, right? So we got to look past the uncertainty of the market. So we got to look at what is certain or what is repeatable. And what is repeatable that I see is an overall look to potentially higher highs as we head into the month of July.